Hi Sanjay, welcome to Cross Synergies Insights.
Thank you so much, Sunil. Nice to be here.
Today we'll speak about something extremely critical, not only for your business but also for all businesses, I think. Knowledge, skills, aptitude, the KSA.
Right.
One of the things which we have always wondered about and which I would really like you to talk about is how did you impart training to the shop floor employees to enhance their knowledge and skills and bring them at par with the international service levels that a brand like Oberpair demands?
Sunil, to begin with, the first thing that we look at is training has two parts. One, there is a trainer, somebody who is imparting the training, and then there is somebody who is the recipient, who is going to be taking this training, converting it into practices that he's going to follow, and then be able to consistently deploy it over a period of time. So the first thing that we look at is the person we are training right fit? In the sense, we have a simple philosophy in Oberpair worldwide which says hire the smile, train the skill. So its first starting point is all beginning by having the right person on board. So we have a very robust system of interviewing candidates even at the cafe entry level staff to be able to ensure we got the right people who we think can get converted into great brand, what should I say, ambassadors on the cafe floor. To begin with, having done that, we, as you know, are a franchisor for a reputed US brand who's been in the business for almost close to 40 years, so 4 decades. And coming from the Western world, they bring a lot of best practices, which they call it the ABP system, and they deliver it to us across things like manuals, it is in SOPs, we have training kits and various tools devised by them. So while there is this theoretical knowledge accompanied by a lot of practical training which the team does when they come here, the toughest part is to convert these skills or these tools into transferring them as skills to our employees. So the starting point for us is really to be governed by these SOPs that the US team has. The way we do it is once we have recruited people on board, part of the induction program has both educating, which is really transferring knowledge as it were, and ending up with converting it into skills, which is where you start doing hands on training. Largely it happens at the cafe level. In some cases we also do a little bit of it at the factory or the commissary in the station that we are present in. So transferring these modules is starting off by breaking it into smaller pieces of information which can be given in a classroom training to people. Then we cross check for their understanding in terms of, we have told you XYZ, what is your understanding? So when we cross check understanding, we know how much of what we wanted to pass on has actually been, you know, understood by them in the same manner that we wanted to transfer it to them. Having said so, it becomes time to go to the floor where really the battle is to be won. The guest has to be end of the day satisfied, and he is going to be visiting our cafes, and he's not going to pardon us even if this guy has all the knowledge in the world, but he's not going to be able to transfer it into a great sandwich, or a lovely baked good or a great hot cup of coffee. So at the cafe, what we do is we have something called cafe procedure cards. So even as you order for a sandwich, and while as a guest you get a sandwich delivered on your table, what you do not see behind the lines is that we have a visual representation of almost 15 to 20 steps which go behind making of the sandwich. It starts as elementary as it says, you take a bagel, so there'll be a first image of a bagel. The second image will just slice it into two pieces. They will show how the pieces are sliced and how they kept. Then the third piece will be of applying the cheese or the butter or whatever it be. So at every minute stage, we have a visual representation also, because we know we are dealing with a class of people who necessarily do not come from the same backgrounds or experience. We have freshers, we have experienced people as well. So these procedure cards help you standardize delivery, so that the sandwich that you're having in Bangalore is the same as the sandwich in Delhi, or even in Calcutta it is the same in Park Street vis-a-vis what you have in Acropolis Mall. So really we have very detailed procedure cards at the cafe in order to transfer this knowledge into a skill and into a delivery of product to the guest.
Okay. So, what are the challenges that you have faced? What you have stated is obviously the stated line of
Right.
how things are to be done.
Right.
Obviously, there are challenges which you have
Right.
faced when you brought it into the Indian system.
Right.
What are those challenges when you started doing these things?
Okay. There are two challenges that we have. The first challenge we really have is the people challenge. When I say people, for example, we are opening a new cafe, let's say. We have to recruit 10 or 12 staff for a cafe. So we go to the market, we get somebody who joins us from KFC, somebody from Pizza Hut, somebody maybe, from brands like McDonald's. So all of them come with certain amount of learning and practice that they have learned on their earlier roles. Then we also have some people who are freshers who come onto our roles. So here, when we are beginning imparting of our training, all the people who are going to be taking the training are not at the same level. Somebody is a senior, somebody is a fresher, and they come from varied backgrounds. So that is the first starting point in terms of a challenge, because when you're delivering content to somebody, they are going to be accepting the content at various levels of their capabilities. Somebody will be a fast learner, somebody will be a slow learner, somebody will not want to learn unless they unlearn the earlier part where they come from. So having said that, being the first challenge, what we realize is over a period of time, once you've got them into your groove, you've taught them exactly the ABP way of doing things, they've unlearned it. When you move these people onto the floor, the biggest challenge we have is of discipline. We have seen that it is very, very difficult to be able to get the kind of discipline in the SOPs without constant supervision and monitoring. Given the slightest chance for them to deviate, you will see that they take shortcuts in producing the sandwich. So if it was a 12-step sandwich, they would probably do it in 8 steps. They would not do it in 12 steps. So those are the kind of things that has been our biggest challenge for us, disciplining people and educating them as to why every step becomes important. And as they get a little more experience, then it becomes even more tougher, because then they say, I've been doing it for 6 months, so obviously it's right, and the guest is also loving it and paying the money. So that really is the biggest challenge that we have, disciplining people to follow SOPs the way they're laid out.
Wouldn't you say that the Indian way of doing things is to bring in a lot of creativity in what is being done, which of course refers to what you just said about trying to bypass rules, right? But wouldn't it also constrain the natural inclination, the natural strength of Indians?
See, what you're saying is absolutely right. We do not lift practices exactly the way it is in the US and try and implement it here, for the simple reason, two different nationalities, two different cultures, guest expectations are different, and both countries are in different levels of evolution. They are a much more modernized food service industry vis-a-vis we, where only the last 4-5 years we really started to take this kind of leadership in food or in QSRs. What we see is when these people come in and they start learning from us, if at that stage we don't insist on them following it to the T, they start taking creativity as a freedom from day one. So the first task is to tell them, listen, there is no leeway here, you got to do it this way, this way, this way. Once they are in and they are tuned to it, then there is something called reality which we see in the shop front. Let me give you an example of that. I was talking about a great sandwich being made, 10 steps, 12 steps. The sandwich is delivered to the guest exactly as per the SOP, and the guest says, you know what, I find cheese to be a little less in this. Now, what does the person do there? Does he tell the guest, wait a minute, go get his SOP and show the guest that, listen, the SOP said 5 grams of cheese, I put 5 grams, that's it? Or does he say, sorry sir, please give me your sandwich, I'll add some more cheese and give it? So when we say creativity, I think this kind of customization or caring for the guest, end of the day our business is to satisfy the guest, and if there he needs to do something post having served exactly as per the SOP, he should be allowed to do it, he should be empowered to do it. So this kind of so-called creativity, as you would like to say, is welcome, but we would not want him to start creating the sandwich not following any SOPs. So there is a thin line between demanding discipline and also empowering them to be street smart on the floor.
Sanjay, everybody's service orientation is not the same. Some are natural, while others have to be trained for it. How do you ensure there's a certain congruity of services?
Very interesting question, Sunil. At the same time, it's one of the challenges that we keep facing day in and day out. Because as you will remember in this industry, there are two things that keep happening all the time. New players keep coming every day into the industry, and where do they poach from? The same old set of guys who are already operating. So for us, the challenge is manifold. A, we've got a bunch of 10 guys who started the cafe with. First, they need to be brought on a uniform level of understanding and training. And by the time we've just completed that training, we find 4 of those guys have joined some other operator, and we've got 4 new guys again back into the team. So this challenge of always ensuring that all 10 of them guys are exactly as per the book supposed to be is something that is going to be a real life challenge, and we deal with it on a daily basis. Having said that, I think the single most important way that we can ensure consistency of standard, considering we have freshers, considering we have experienced people and from varying different brands in the food industry, is to tell them the first thing, the guys who come with experience, unlearn everything that you know. You have not come to Overpan to make it into a KFC. So we are not here, we didn't hire you here to tell us what you do at KFC. We have other smart ways to figure that out. We have not hired you here to know what you do at McDonald's. We hired you here to tell you, please forget what you were doing there. This is the ABP way. Tell me how you can excel at doing it the ABP way. And that, I think, is the critical success factor for us. Do it our way, uniformly, all of you together. Forget what you learned in the past. That is the only way we can ensure consistency of delivery, be it on food quality, be it on all other service parameters that we wish as a brand to have.